The left accuses the right of doing what the left actually does. You can bet on it. This is always true. They accused President Trump and Trump supporters of praising neo-Nazis or of drawing a moral equivalence between peaceful protesters and neo-Nazis. Trump never did that. The left did that. You just saw it happen twice by fairly prominent figures. When the left accuses the right of something, you can bet that it is not the right that's doing it, it is the left that is doing it. For instance, you look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden accuses conservatives of being racially divisive. He's going on this whole spiel now about how we need to make America moral again because Trump is so racist and bigoted and awful. Joe Biden said in 2012 that Mitt Romney wanted to put black people back in chains to a predominantly black audience. Joe Biden has been a racial huckster his entire career. And then he goes out and launches his campaign, his entire campaign, on a lie that Donald Trump called neo-Nazis fine people in Charlottesville. Didn't happen. Supporters of the Clintons, supporters of Bob Menendez, supporters of Eliot Spitzer, of Anthony Weiner, of all sorts of Democrat sexual degenerates, are accusing Republicans and conservatives and Trump supporters of being unfair to women, of being harsh on women, misogyny, sexism. They ran Hillary Clinton last election, the woman who smeared all of her husband's victims. They were going to return Bill Clinton, a sexual assailant, to the Oval Office. He was going to be on the couch. He wasn't going to be behind the desk, but they were going to return that man to the White House. How about when Democrats accused Republicans of colluding with the Russians for 2 years? They said that Republicans and Trump colluded with the Russians for 2 years. They went out, they made a deal with Vladimir Putin. They rigged the 2016 election. They robbed it from Hillary Clinton. It's an illegitimate presidency because it was bought and paid for by Vladimir Putin, and Trump rather is a puppet of Vladimir Putin. What do we find out? The only people who colluded with the Russians were the Democrats. How did they collude with the Russians? Because they paid Fusion GPS to commission an Oppo research file written by Christopher Steele, which used information procured from, you guessed it, the Russians. Where else could that information have come from? Now, it turned out to have been disinformation. The Democrats literally colluded with the Russians. The federal government, too, because the federal government then, under Barack Obama, used that Steele dossier as a cheap excuse to get surveillance warrants for the Trump campaign. So the federal government, those deep state agents, as they're called, and the Democrats spent 2 years accusing Donald Trump of doing something that not only he didn't do, that they did themselves.